I generally don't read, but I'm going to read today if you will permit me to just read what I want to say. I am so full of information. I thought I better jot it down. Can you hear me? I'm getting, okay. So I'm going to read this so I don't miss anything that's important. But in preparing for this event and this presentation, this speech, I was really, really heavy about what to say because we are wanting to create a culture free of slavery. That's been in my heart for a long, long time. If we don't change our culture, we will not change anything. We can rescue. We can do all this stuff. But if we don't change the root and what's fueling this, it will not happen. And that's what's been in my heart, and y'all that know me know that that's just what I talk about. So I was really, really heavy because we're really addressing it this year. And I looked up the word culture, and we all know what it is, but there's a lot of definitions. And the one that I liked was that the definition of, it's like, I like this one, the behaviors and beliefs characteristic of a particular social, ethnic, or age group, such as the youth culture, the drug culture, the arts culture, American culture, and on and on. So we know what culture is. And we know that American culture is actually in a major transition. We all know that as well. I completely am convinced and believe that we can change our culture because I believe God can do it through us. I deny the fact that it will never happen when people say that's just human nature. But I've seen the power of love in humans, and I know with the power of love that we can change this culture. I'm convinced, and I will continue to say that. So how are we going to do that? Well, there's a lot of different ways we can do it. Number one, become educated like we are. And what's driving our culture right now? We have to transcend the current status, or we'll completely annihilate ourselves. And here's how we're annihilating ourselves. Television and movies equals sex, language, and violence today. It doesn't equal anything positive. Commercials created by corporate America equals sex, violence, and emotional manipulation to buy product. And while the tools of social media offers great opportunity, we learned through Ray this morning, through the FBI, for positive influence, it's also created a venue for sex, violence, and emotional manipulation. So what's happening, and you all know in our culture, is nothing but sex, violence, and manipulation to make money. And we just have to stop it. We have to stop buying into those aspects. Violence is getting out of control in some areas, and let me give you some stats. In the 6 years from March of 2003 to January 2009, there were 4,488 U.S. deaths in Iraq. And Linda, you're probably familiar with that. So 4,488 in Iraq. We just test that. In the United States, for 2010 alone, there were 31,513 deaths from firearms, distributed as follows by mode of death. Suicide, 19,308. Homicide, 11,015. That's almost 3,000 distraught human beings for their own lives or that hate one another and kill them through homicide. Accidental deaths were 600. America has become a war zone just like any other country going to war because we are destroying ourselves from within. And I believe this is fueled again by the TVs and the commercials and everything that we have evolved into that's negative about our country. So I want to tell you a story because stories can touch us when nothing else can. And this one really touches my heart because in order to change our culture, we have to address ourselves. We have to go to ourselves. We have to transform ourselves by accepting our differences. And it will take a change of mindset where we can look each other in the eye and say, you are me and I am you. To understand that we are all one, that we are all created from the same thread. And I said yesterday to drop the boxes and to drop the labels and to drop and understand that we are all uniquely created in the same image and likeness of God. And that when one hurts, the other hurts. And when one is sick, we are sick. So we have to change our mindset right there. Here's this story. A young student was walking along a country dirt road one day and passed by a farmer who was plowing his field with a horse, the old-fashioned way. The student decided he would stand there and watch. So he watched, and he saw the farmer suddenly look down to the ground. He stopped his horse and kneeled down to the ground and put his hands down in the dirt. The student watched, and pretty soon he noticed that the farmer was holding something in his hand. He looked, and it appeared to be a big red stone, and the student thought, boy, that looks like a ruby. The old farmer took his shirt and rubbed away the dirt from the cut and unpolished stone, and sure enough, it was a beautiful ruby. The student was so excited it took his breath away, so he jumped the fence and ran to the farmer, and he said, wow, I can't believe you found this amazing precious stone in your field. And the farmer said, yes, it's amazing. And as he looked at the young man with a kind and thoughtful expression, he held out the ruby and he said, do you like it? The young man said, do I like it? Well, yes, I love it. And the farmer said, here, take it, it's yours. The young student couldn't believe his good fortune, and as the old farmer dropped the ruby into his hands, he ran back across the fence, waiting to get home. So he got home, he took the ruby and he put it under a lamp on his nightstand. And he looked deep into it as though he were looking for an answer. The student stayed up all night looking and staring and thinking about that ruby. And he didn't even go to sleep as he studied it. The next morning, the student picked up the ruby and he went back out to the spot where the farmer had been plowing and noticed he was at it again. He jumped the fence and waved the farmer down. And as he approached him, he held out the hand to the farmer and said, I don't want this ruby. And the farmer stopped and he said, you don't want it? I thought you liked it. I thought it was beautiful to you. He said, it is. But I discovered last night that I wanted something more than this ruby, and I want what you had that enabled you to give it to me. That's where we need to get to in our culture. Amen? We need to understand that when I bless you, I bless the whole. When I see a wounded soul, I see my own wounded soul, and we have to work to heal that wounded soul. I'm going to read you a scripture because most everybody here is familiar with the scriptures. And this one also is profound, and I don't think we really take it to heart. Karen, you'll appreciate this. Let me find it. Hang on. Forget I know it. It's in Matthew, the Sermon on the Mount. Everybody familiar with the Sermon on the Mount? Okay. Jesus is going along and teaching, and he gets to the point to where he's saying, you know, you can do this and you can be like those of old. I'm paraphrasing all this. But he gets to the point and he says, but if you want to be like me, basically, you do good to those that hate you. You pray for those who despitefully use you and persecute you. And you bless those that curse you. And that was different to the Pharisees, was it not? Because they were used to the law, and they were used to an eye for an eye, and they tested him constantly. It says, this is the law, what do you say? And he said, I'm coming to show you a different way. And we profess Christ here. And we are responsible to grow into that image and likeness that we were created in. Not only responsible, because Jesus said, go thou and be made whole. Be perfect. Be ye perfect, he said. It was almost a command. And the word perfect isn't perfect. It is be made whole when you trace it back to the root. That means heal yourselves so you can become who you are meant to be. So that's the goal. If we're going to change our culture, we have to stop watching the movies in our privacy of our own home, because when we watch the movies in our privacy of our own home, we're affecting our souls. We have to stop watching the movies ourselves, and we do it, don't we? We have to stop these things. We have to look at the child that's being used overseas to make firecrackers, that's losing his and her limbs to make our firecrackers that we use to celebrate our celebrations. We have to stop buying the over 130 products that are made by child labor in this country and in this world. There are organizations now that are working to create products that are made organically, that are made without child labor. We have to become educated. So we can change this if we will. One last story. Davina Dagana, you heard her this morning, a lovely, lovely young lady. I met Davina a long time ago, last fall actually, but I was in Washington in January, and I love your smile. In January, and we had dinner after the National Day of Prayer at the Lincoln Memorial. That's where it was, right? And the gentleman that was with her said, Yvonne, do you really think we can change our culture? Because people challenge me all the time on this. And I said, do I believe it? Yes, I believe it. But I stopped and I said, but I have a question for you. Are you willing to pay the price to change your culture? Because you're younger and I'm old and I'm out here for you. So he kind of got taken back by that, didn't he? And we had a wonderful discussion, but it challenged him, and it challenged your generation, to say, yeah, maybe we need to think about this. Because we can stop a lot of this if we just change our own lives and change our products and change what we think we need into what we really don't need. So creating a culture free of slavery is going to be an uphill battle because we're having to change our own lives. And that's kind of basically what I wanted to share. I just want to let you know what my heart was and to challenge you like I challenged Monty and to say, do you have the courage to make the changes in your lives? Let's start right here and then go forward to help our families change, our businesses change, and all that. One last thought. There's a wonderful organization that's just popped up. Frank, you're probably aware of this. It's called Conscious Capitalism. Go to that website and take a look because this organization is a business, is doing wonders. They are not structured on the idea that corporations make all this profit off of the backs of the people that work for $5, $6, $7, $8 an hour. There's an actual business in this country that pays the janitor and the CEO the very same amount. Every employee makes the same amount of money, $65,000 a year, all have health coverage, on and on and on. They're all living the same, and they value one another. They all make the decisions for the company. That's conscious capitalism at its best. So we need to do things to address all these issues that are fueling human trafficking across this world, and we can end modern-day slavery. I challenge you. Thank you.